qui étaient sur le live ou qui sont sur la rediff. J'ai eu un énorme bug de wifi là. Je sais pas si ça va refaire, j'espère pas. J'ai eu un sacré bug quand même. Putain, c'est chiant que ça, quand ça coupe la wifi, ça devrait me reconnecter sur le live d'avant. What?
Is now they've been crushed there, but here comes Vino to go in and reconnect, and high ground is theirs here.
King, meanwhile, on the opposite end of the spectrum, as a solo forced into the water, swimming through this ultimate low ground, hoping that he doesn't encounter anybody else anytime soon, but it's gonna be mixing off to his side, not able to connect the shot, swims directly underneath a duo, and it's gonna be an opportunity for Strokey to possibly get knocked. No, instead it's gonna be King under pressure, and it's too much. The elimination on the Brazilian King.
Yeah, the cops come out, they say, wait, there's someone under here. With no hesitation, there was for Strokey and Kylie just coming on in, getting the full finish there. Here's Pars and Baka Baka, so hurt, but 6 eliminations, my gosh. They are doing it again. They did it at the Invitational. They're doing it at the championship so far. Remember, this is going to be arguably the most difficult bracket to fight your way out of. It is, of course, the 50 best that played through their respective times of those seasons throughout this entire year.
But look up, it's Queasy, it's Venno. They get chopped momentarily by Mustache, but it's still not seeming to deter them from maintaining control of this high ground. Mustache now hoping that this legendary slurp juice is going to buy him enough time to get out of this difficult position that he's landed into with Mason and Cole. Meanwhile, backside of the zone, trying to charge his way forward, looking to stay as close to Acorn as possible, because as things continue to move, you can expect all these other duos to follow suit. And Alex gonna eat a shot immediately, Alind.
Meanwhile, High Ground goes for a fight here. Mustache and Tayson trying to take it all away. They take down OCE's power, Alex as well there. Big find for him, but no, they have to conclude. They have to concede it. They give it down. Queasy puts up the fight against Tayson and puts him down as well. No material left for the high ground team. A very tough spot to be in, but it's all or nothing now. The end game is already theirs. This is surely a successful run already. Re is still up too.
But they just need barely enough builds to actually connect it to the hill over this water where everyone else is trying to deal with it. Reet, though, alongside Ritual, everything in his power here, gets the elimination onto Acorn. It looks as though Queasy may have fallen to the feet as well.
What a big trade here. Just a couple players left now. This is it. Vino solo here, but he does have builds. The clutch is possible. He's also one of the healthiest here on the lobby. But Strokey doesn't have much to work with. He also can't get up and over. It's going to come down to the siphon of whether or not he can get the conclusion, and Vino does. Get it here. Finds for Strokey in the finish, and Vino wins the game.
This is starting to look pretty familiar. Queasy and Venno striking first in game number 1 of the Global Championship.
What a way to do it as well. Explosive fashion, in historic fashion. You know, they are a team that should be racking up wins, and they're doing just that. Lucky for us, we have Frankie there for the word.
Yes, I have run down to this booth. I knew exactly where you were sat, boys. This is exactly the start you were looking for. So stand up so Copenhagen can see you. Come on, Queasy. Venno, what's it like to win the first victory royale of the Global Championship? Because I know that Major 3 was a bit of a tough time for you.
It's standard for us, it's standard, you know? Every year, we always got to win first game, we always got to have some victory royales, and, you know, we just got to do what we got to do.
Is it nice to be back in the same space?
Putain, j'ai le seum en plus parce que je suis même pas en week-end, donc je peux même pas profiter.
Last year, we came here to finish the story, and we'll see how it goes.
How are you making season 4 work for you?
I think we're well prepared. We try to hide everything that we could, and we'll see in the finals.
So tell me about that final fight then, because it was an EU number. You know your opponents quite well. Why do you think you were able to get the upper hand?
I mean, you know, we had Thomas and Malibu come up on high, and we put them down, thanks to Queasy and myself. And then, you know, I clutched out as a solo. You know, it's just standard, and I can't really say anything more, you know.
Well, you don't want to tell everyone in Copenhagen that you took down the Danish boy Thomas, so you're not scared that you're going to become a villain here.
You know, I think we came in on our villain arc. And because we came second, you know? We want to show the rivalry's over.
But it's not, is it?
I mean, we'll see. I'm looking at them now.
Well, you guys fix your eyes on each other and get ready to board the battle bus again as we head back to the desk. Congratulations.
Arrête, Pana.
Here we go. Global Championships kicks off. And what do we expect? Not quite this. I wasn't sure if it was going to be Queasy and Benno. To be honest, there were so many names, right? But of course, Queasy and Benno say, Zeke, hold on a minute. This is us. I love that he kind of calls out, we're on our villain arc. I agree. I think these guys want and have so much to prove. In the year they've had, right? That second place to us is amazing. Wow, second place, life-changing amount of money to them was a loss. Now they're coming back stronger than ever, and they want the W.
Yeah, these guys are winners, right? They see second as the same as 50th. It doesn't matter to them whether anyone else is taking that crown, because they want it to be them. They want to make sure they can do it, and I really, really like the way they played that end game. Beautiful stuff from them. Just typical Queasy Venno stuff. They're on high ground. They got to that front side of zone, cranked up, actually fell down at the beginning of that end game, which kind of threw them off a little bit, but no, they're used to that sort of situation, and that's exactly what they do best.
I do think that the zone pulled a little bit in their favor, but by zone 3, Queasy not only had a gold twin mag AR, a gold sharp tooth as well, 6 crash pads, but also had 2 mythic slurps. They were set for success from the get-go.
We see them, of course, get shot right there. That was the moment that kind of set them a little bit away, but no. Taking out Malibuka right there, that breacher shotgun, as you mentioned, Kelly, so good on height, just putting the pressure down and actually using those crash pads. Of course, we saw Queasy going down a little bit earlier here, but I think if I'm Queasy, I'm going to be so confident having Benno on my side because, I mean, just look at that. That's what he can do. Massive shots. If there's anyone you want clutching up as a solo, it's Benno. He's got the aim, he's got the game sense, he has the mechanics, and of course, he's such a smart player. Just look at what it needs them. Getting off to a great start. What a start for them. They couldn't have wanted anything different.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we have seen so much about this duo is it really doesn't matter what situation they get put in. A lot of times we do kind of see this happen, one or the other is left alive, but what both do together is they're setting the other up. So it's like, even if one of us falls, it doesn't matter. I've set you up, you have everything you need, go make something happen. Now, of course, in this situation, Final 3, Venno's like, got you right where I want you.
Yeah, the players that they were going up against too were incredible players, and so still to be able to do that as a solo player like Vito just did just shows how confident and calm he can be, but also very excited too. But I mean, if we're talking about Queasy and Vino, we gotta talk about the other side of the coin, right? Seti and Cammy going down early, just like Levin showed us.
Yeah, really rough start for those guys. A start they definitely wouldn't have wanted. I was saying at the beginning of the show, they were practicing their drop spots, they were looking good, but unfortunately things can change. Bus paths can change, of course. The environments can change. You never know what can happen. And of course, when you're fighting against a team that isn't on your home region, usually things can be different. Teams have different play styles that you cannot possibly prepare for. So if there's anything we know about Cammy and Seti, when they do make it off spawn, I'm sure in the next games in the future, they'll be absolutely fine. It's just getting to that end game for them might be a problem.
Yeah, and this is just the first game, right? Obviously, with only 5, which is usually the typical 6, we don't want to be making mistakes like this, but they still have 4 more to make something happen. Now, of course, a couple other duos we wanted to highlight for you guys, Thomas HD and Malibuka. Again, like, as we talk about names, you're just going to be like, yeah, nah, I forgot about them. I mean, I know they're here, the top 8 is great, but looking to perform here as well, and a pretty good showing in game number 1.
Yeah, not a bad showing at all. I mean, we saw it in game in the first little off-spawn battle right there. What a time to do it. What a way to kick off the weekend, right? Thomas HD managing to win out off-spawn. It wasn't even Thomas, actually, that clutched it up. It was, of course, Malibuka who managed to pick up this assault rifle off-spawn. Really, really great for him, actually, because he just found that little bit of high ground there at the end. I really like the way he used the reboot ban to block as much shots as possible. And then this little hut, managing to find that high ground and then finally take out Canada. What a start for this duo. And we know how the rest of the game went. Solid game for them as well.
Although it did go down to a 1v1, and I think a lot of people may have been expecting Malibuka and Thomas HD kind of just take it so soundedly And I think that they might be taking it a little bit easier in these next two games just because of how close it was. You saw Kanata trying to grab height right there, and you were right that Malabuka was able to use that reboot ban to his advantage. But if Kanata just got a little bit closer, a little bit sooner, it could have been a bit of a disaster for Malabuka.
Can't forget, of course, they had that Rift Island as well. Of course, it was a south playing zone. They know where the spawns are, just outside that racetrack area. There's not actually too many spawns down in that sort of southeast area, so they were actually able to sort of predict where it was going to be, and they managed to get on there uncontested completely. Nobody wanted to go for it. First game of an in-person event. Who has the guts to go for the island? It's these guys.
Yeah, and of course the crowd did lose it when we saw that happen, but here we go. A look at our standings. Now, please remember, we have another 4 games to go, but right now, as it stands, Queasy and Venno, after that victory out and the 7 eliminations, they hold down that #1 spot. But look at a couple of names here, right? Reet and Ritual. I mean, 76 points off of the back of 5 eliminations as well. There's no double digits yet in this top 10. But you just kind of see this list of names. Man, this is wild.
Yeah, another team there as well. Kylie Fosroki in 3rd place. They actually land sort of towards the area in that sort of steamy strings area, so the zone was definitely in their favor. But in a 5-game format, if you can get that first zone under your belt, get those points on the board early, that's a really, really great start for those guys. Because remember, they qualified through the last chance majors, so they want to try and put on. They didn't qualify to major number 3. That's tomorrow. They qualified to major number 3, so they left it to the last. That's one of those teams that want to get off to a good start here to try and boost their confidence and make sure that they can make it through to Sunday.
Man, I do want to give some shout outs to Reet and Ritual. I know I always take the chance when I get the opportunity to.
Yeah, you go ahead.
But
That's why I said it.
I mean, Reet has just evolved as a player from the last 2 years. He used to be the W key king to the point where you couldn't really contain him. But around zone 3 or 4, you saw him playing patiently. They towered up pretty early on, able to get those storm surge tags. And it wasn't until towards the end game that Reet really popped off and grabbed a few eliminations. They're not really a placement player, and to see him get that 2nd place spot or 3rd place and eliminations as well, I mean, I'm just proud to see him evolve as a player.
It was really difficult down those lower layers as well. Remember that end zone? It was all over water. It was an absolute mess. I saw King there swimming
like
through.
A shark.
Like a shark down below,
So
trying
crazy.
to scoop up some loot. Of course, he ended up getting taken out, but those are the difficult times. If you don't have those materials, you don't have those refreshes, when you have the fragging power. That's where those fragging power, that's where those refreshes come into play.
C'est long, quoi. Ah merde, mais je suis en... What? Ah, mais non, ok, ça m'a mis hors ligne, étant donné que... Ah, mais si, Apo, il est en truc de...
They did manage to find themselves the 5 eliminations, but they're maybe lacking a little bit on those placements. Now, I feel like for me, rather than kind of like go through all these duos and kind of talk about everybody, I kind of want to talk about what we saw in that game. Mad congested, right? There was, toward the end game, almost no one had materials, right? Everyone's doing the same thing. We are trying to go on the defensive. We don't want to make a mistake here in game #1.
Well, that's due to the fact that this is a low mobility meta besides the rocket ramp. So these players, instead of being able to kind of just use these mobility items to rotate around the map, they're going to have to tarp up. They're going to have to protect themselves as they rotate all the way to that far southeastern side. So it does kind of benefit the teams that are closer there, or the teams. We did see a few players using rocket rams in there, or at least having them in their loadout just in case. But this is going to be a difficult meta. It did start in Major 3, so a lot of these players are already used to it, but still, utilizing your mats when you can is definitely going to be a big part.
You mentioned them there, Acorn and Cold in 6th place. They made it to that end game because of their off spawn. And initially, we were thinking, right, these guys have been contesting Pink and Vico. That's been the storyline for the whole time. But it seems like they actually switched drop here, and they actually ended up going towards iDrop and Mappy in that sort of central area where all those caravans are. They actually switched their drops. They thought, yeah, let's just try and land on this team, and it worked out for them. So that just shows how those little decisions like that, switching the drop spot at the last moment, can make a big difference.
And it did make a big difference. We saw earlier on in the game that Acorn Cold had 12 splashes on just one player. And again, using those rotations, that's pretty much one of the only mobility items in the game besides the launch pads and then, of course, the mini crash pads as well. It's, I mean, they definitely seem to have used that change and drop spot, which isn't something we typically see on this caliber, really well. And another team that I want to talk about just by the leaderboard that we saw is Thomas HD and Malabuka. You can see through their placement points that they didn't get that many placement points, but the 15 points from the Rift Island made up the difference.
Those mid-match objectives will make or break some duos. Now, at the start of the show, we talked about Payson, the online code, looking to make that LAN title kind of all-encompassing, just GOAT status, paired up with Merstash after this game, right? This was a pretty decent start, right? And again, like, we have to kind of be mindful that, remember, there's 6 regions, it's just game 1, there's a lot of jitters. After game 2, what can we see them
C'est intelligent cette...
that might make this game 2 crazier for them?
I mean, we saw them go for height there. We saw them pre-popping those slurs. You see it at this moment right here, Merstash, to try to look up at Queasy and
Où est-ce qu'ils sont, les skins FN16? Bonsoir.
So, of course, this was a difficult situation for them. Didn't quite have the builds to make it happen, and that can be the problem. If you're cranking up on that backside of zone, you're expending so many materials, and if you're going up against a great height team like Queasy and Venno, that's where things can get difficult. But a really great start from this duo. Of course, landing at the north side of Slightly Shores. We saw them getting those surge tags really, really early. Massive base that they seemingly build every single game they go there. All those extra kills, it got them to that end game. And they just need to keep that consistency, because if they keep it up, they're going to do good.
And I think what helped them too is that they were holding second high or in that mid ground really well, where a lot of people, a lot of the top teams were kind of fighting for that high ground, or they were in the depths of the water below. So by being aware, situationally aware of where all the other teams are and taking that advantageous position in the mid ground definitely helped them.
For sure. Now, of course, that crazy moment in the Victory Royale was wild, but we have the ability to listen in on the players. So let's relive this moment from Vino's perspective.
Nice. 200 dead, 200 dead. I got it. I'm coming up. I have siphon. Crash betting. I'm gonna rocket, okay? Oh yeah, I'm dead probably. I'm dead. Top four, all duos. Land on, nice. Corner. Nice. I'm stacked. Yeah. 2v2. Or two, one solo and a duo. Top three. You have Madness. Play Madness top 2. Play Madness top 2. Trust. I'll let you know if he gets knocked. I got him. I knocked him. Yeah. 1v1. You're good.
That's kind of nuts, right? I love that Venno is able to just focus, right? It's just about just let me rock my mechanics, right? Just tell me where to look, tell me what to do, and then just let me execute upon that. Queasy so calm, right? He's like obviously there is a bit of chaos in the moment, but Queasy just listen, just grab this. You're fine. Trust, you've got this.
Putain, y'a personne sur le jeu, ça rend ouf, frère. Oh, connectez-vous, les gens.
And you can see Queasy just making sure that he is giving the absolute perfect comms, what he needs to know. Maybe he might have missed something.
Connectez-vous.
And part of the reason he cooked there was that rocket brand, using it to go straight up into the air, see where the rest of the remaining lobby is, land down immediately, and get that incredible shot. That's why we're seeing them in first place right now. 93 points to start off the day. A pretty decent lead relative to the rest of the lobby here.
And, you know, I don't want to say necessarily bravery, but to use that rock ram in that situation almost is like... It's risky, right? Mad, high risk, high reward, but for him, he makes it work. Here's a look at our top 20 duos as it stands just after game number 1. Remember, 4 more to go. We had highlighted Cooper and Mira, though, in the 16th place at the top of the show, as well as Alex and Worthy. Is there maybe a duo standing on these top 20 that stand out for you guys?
These guys land at Mega City, so you would maybe expect them to have a little bit of a better game right there, sat in 19th place. When the zone does move towards you, especially in Mega City, you can sit on those towers, on those buildings, try and farm storm surge. I think you might struggle with that a little bit because, of course, so many teams are rotating in, but it might be a little bit too late. You always need to rotate out, get that storm surge, try and get back on that high ground at the right moment. And what I've seen from those guys, they're doing that so well. Probably because maybe a few spanners in the works have been a little bit more difficult for them because they need to try and find those refreshes, and that water zone definitely didn't help either.
I mean, I was looking at the top of that page 2 right there, and Alex and Worthy.
Bon, c'est pas pour dire, mais
representing
s'il y a personne de co, moi je me fais un riche.
good job after game number 1 there. And I know that a lot of people tend to think that these competitions are going to be, you know, oh, EU, maybe NA, but a lot of these, you know, smaller regions showing up right from the get-go.
And it's about making a statement in this first day, right? Remember, first 5, top 25 go on to grand finals on Sunday. So the job's not done, but it's about making those statements. It's about saying, regardless of what we do, if you see us in grand finals, you know what to expect from us.
Yeah, and I think you saw that in the reaction from Queasy and Benno, right? They were hyped, like they were happy. You got to be happy at winning first game of day 1 of the Global Championships, but they weren't too happy. They didn't let their emotions get the better of them. They were very, very cool, calm, collected in that interview, and I think that's absolutely vital for them because they know it's a marathon, it's not a sprint.
Yeah, and speaking of a marathon, we saw Baka kind of going on a marathon throughout that game right there, grabbing so many eliminations, and part of that definitely has to be to that mythic MK7 that he had there. He was 600 damage above Storm Surge in the middle of the game, and by having that on your pocket, it's definitely going to be, you know, a bit more of a confidence.
Okay, so we've highlighted some duos. We talked about what we like. What
Ah, mais il y a Ron qui est connecté, j'espère que tu vas jouer.
We're kind of hoping to see change going into these next 4, because remember,